What went wrong for them?
What I would say is, I think in the Premier League over the last 3 or 4 years, man-to-man marking has almost sort of taken over the Premier League with teams who are out of possession. Certainly in the opposition's half, sometimes you see a hybrid system of zonal and man-to-man pressing. But you mentioned Newcastle playing Barcelona and the changes Eddie Howe made. They give Barcelona, one of the best footballing teams in the world, a real tough game because of how they go about it. But Liam Rosenior, we've highlighted on this show, really enjoys deploying his team in a man-to-man system as well. So it was really interesting how they both went about it, and it was slightly different, and it played a big role in the goal that decided the game. So Newcastle in the opposition's half, as Eddie Howe's done for the last few years now, man-to-man marking all over the pitch. Now the big thing you have when you're playing a system like this is, when the opposition only have one striker, you've got to be very brave for one of your centre-backs to step in here and go after the opposition's number 10, with Botman going with Palmer. It leaves you 1v1 on the last line, but that's the risk Newcastle have taken for the last sort of 2 or 3 years under Eddie Howe. So we play from there, we see Botman go right in with Cole Palmer, ball comes into Palmer, tight, aggressive, really tough to play against man-to-man marking, as we see so often from teams in the Premier League. They win the ball and recycle it the other side. Now, what's really interesting with Chelsea, and you mentioned man-to-man marking and how they've done it differently. So what we see right now is with Newcastle with the ball, as soon as the ball goes to the left-hand side for Newcastle, 4v3 on the last line. So you see the back 4 of Chelsea up against a front 3 of Newcastle. In the past, we've seen Fofana jumping with the number 10, like we've seen Botman doing it. So it's a back 4 via front 3. And also what we've got in front of that is Reece James with Walter Marder, man-to-man marking in that area. And that's what happened with the midfield 3. But on the last line, it was different when the ball was on the left. That's really important to remember. As the ball then moves to the opposite side, we can see a change. And this is something I haven't really seen before, where someone changes the press depending on what side the ball goes. So right now you can see as the ball comes into midfield, you've got Cucurella, the left back, not staying with the winger, he's jumping to the opposition fullback, Livramento, and everybody slides across. So Chalobah now is in this position, and you've now got a 3v3 on the last line. Completely different when it goes to the left side to when it comes to the right side. And again, this is really important with what happens eventually on the goal. And the big player who's heavily involved in this, who's got a different role, and the biggest role for Chelsea in this, is Cucurella. So you see him in between the winger and in between the fullback. As soon as the ball goes to the left, where does Cucurella go? He's now a left back. The ball's on the left, and we've got that on the far side. Back 4 v a front 3. Cucurella now edging as the ball's coming across, so that's his role. As soon as it comes here, my role's to jump. But again, we mentioned the man marking job of Reece James on Walter Marder, and this is why teams employ a man marking system, because it gives you a great opportunity to win the ball high up the pitch and get a goal scoring opportunity. And this is what happens here. He wins the ball, he's aggressive, too powerful for Walter Marder. Garnacho gets on the ball and Chelsea get a decent chance. So that gives you an understanding of what both teams are trying to do in the game. So now we're going to go to the goal. So again, the ball's on the left side, so we know Chelsea are in the back 4, and Reece James is with Walter Marder here. So it's almost like a back 5 via front 4 really, because Walter Marder is so high. But again, you can understand from the clips we showed earlier why that happens on that side. As it comes across now for Newcastle, I'm just going to highlight Livramento here. He's not in a normal right back position. This was the first time he inverted in the game, and he causes a big problem, because as soon as the ball comes across, Cucurella and Chalobah, we know what's happened before in what they've done. He is now not sure whether to come across because the winger is here. Cucurella is being used to jumping to a fullback, but the fullback is in midfield. That's what's normally happened. We've seen where they've come from, but because of the position of Livramento, it's had a knock-on effect, and the Chelsea players aren't sure what to do. So what happens is Chalobah goes in here, puts the brakes on, and Thierry, you want to talk about Garnacho?
Yeah, the way, if you can bring it back slightly quickly, please. The way he went to put pressure there, Garnacho, is very important that we're gonna talk about it, because at that particular moment, pause. you have the info yourself that Chalobah was maybe going there, but you know he stopped, and Livramento is alone. So that, at that particular moment, you need to make sure that you're gonna make a little turn or arc your run to make sure that that ball doesn't go on him, and pause, they play on Malik Thiaw here. So that can happen, what you just explained. You bend your run, and that's going to have a massive impact on what's going to happen straight after, because he allowed that ball to go inside. That's exactly what you don't want. You want to force them to play there. He allowed that to happen.
Then the big thing, and this goes back to what something me and Thierry have been talking about a lot about the game in the last couple of years. Players are now coached within an inch of their life, with and without the ball. We know what the plan is. I've highlighted it. Man-to-man mark, and when the ball goes here, we have an extra man. Here on this side, Cucurella jumps. So that's the plan. The plan has been messed because of Livramento's position. Okay? You have to adapt on the pitch. So you've now got Fofana at the top here. We can see he's screaming because he can see a player free here. Okay? He's telling somebody else to do something, but he's with Gordon. Do something for yourself. Get across and fill that space. Reece James and Chalobah are looking at each other and arguing, Walter Martin's my man. He's not your man. You should be going in there with Livramento. Deal with it. Adapt. As soon as something doesn't happen that they've been told before the game, players now, they can't adapt to it. They don't know how to. They're looking at the bench. They're pointing fingers. So they know something's gone wrong, but they don't adapt in a situation like that now. So they can all see the problem, but they allow it to continue because it's not what they've worked on the training pitch.
So the first mistake is don't allow the ball inside. Correct it after. The leader of the team on the field didn't make it happen, right? But I want to show you, hey, Liam Rosenia, I've been there. You're disappointed that they allowed that ball to go inside. But we're not at a training ground here where you can go like, oh, let's start again. So since you talked about players do not react and they like to be coached, or coach like to maybe not give them that freedom, then coach it, because there is a mistake. We all know there is a mistake. So he's not coaching it on the field, and unfortunately, I said to you, I've been there, he's not even looking at what's happening. Goal. You understand what I'm saying? It is not easy. It's easy to talk here. I've been there, like I said to you, on the bench, but that's what you need to deal with, and they didn't.
How would you have prevented this, Jamie, if you were playing in this game?
You know why I say this? Maybe I'm blowing my own trumpet, right? But in terms of Fofana and Chalobah and Reece James, right? They are all better players than me in almost everything. You know, physically, height, power, pace. People can say that. But this is why I played football. I would not have allowed that to happen, because I would have made sure somebody reacted. Stop looking for your coach for instructions. You're a coach on the pitch. That was my job as a player for Liverpool, to almost be a coach or organising people around me.
Were you always that, or did it come with experience?
No, I was like that from a kid. That came with that. But what I'm saying is, sometimes a coach has a plan, the opposition do something different. And also what the coach can see from the side of the pitch is not what the players see on the pitch. How can you allow
that must be the easiest pass all season.
Exactly. But we're talking about players playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, costing huge fees. Reece James has been described as the best player in his position in the world. And rightly so, he's a fantastic player. But how they allow that to happen, because it wasn't the plan before the game. There is an opposition. We all have a plan before the game. It's great. Before the game, walking through things on the Friday. But the opposition have a plan as well.